But I think one of the things we're all focused upon is the situation of young people. The under 25s, 25% unemployment for under 25s. And if you want to look at the real basket cases for youth unemployment, you go to Greece and Spain, where if you're under 25, you're more likely to be unemployed than employed. These are social drama. President Barroso, the outgoing President of the Commission, said we're in a situation of social emergency in Europe. I think he's right. Yeah. This is one of the real worries. We all know that if you're out of the labour market at the beginning of your career, it has a real permanent scarring effect. The effects of initial unemployment last a lifetime. Your earnings potential across your professional life, it even it affects your life expectancy. So this is becoming structural, this is becoming scarring, and this is what actually gives some meaning to the notion of a lost generation. We need to be very worried.
Now, just talk me through the idea of structural unemployment. How is that really manifesting itself across Europe?
Okay, well, the idea of structural unemployment, of course, is this is unemployment which is permanent. It doesn't vary with the business cycle. You've got some people who are just simply out of the labour force and stay out of it. We are seeing, I think, increases in structural levels of unemployment, but we also have a problem, which is that we're not growing anyway, so the cycle is down. Europe has begun to react, I think. I think Europe's become very worried about this. The European Commission has identified funds to put in place a youth guarantee scheme. This is basically a European-wide measure which says if you're young, if you've been out of a job for 4 months or more, you have an automatic right to a training and educational opportunity or some form of work experience.
In the OECD's report, though, into youth unemployment, it said something like 13% of youth are too highly skilled for the jobs that they're doing. So is training always the answer?
We're getting some very perverse effects. One of the subjects which has been a subject of great discussion, including here in Melbourne, I would add, is trying to get the training offer and the market demands in line. You know, we've got in a situation where the best option has always been seen to be go to a university, get that higher education skill. More and more the skills are in demand, and not the ones that come out of university. They're ones that come from apprenticeships, that come from vocational training schemes. And yet, many people, many societies think that if you don't go to university, you're sort of second best. You're second best. I think there's more and more evidence which says that vocational training can be a first best, can be the preferred option. A lot of talk about that, and I think the obvious response to that situation is we need to think again about apprenticeships. I think apprenticeships are very much in vogue. For me, apprenticeships were something my father's generation did. They sort of disappeared when I left school. I think they're coming back again.
The big problem, of course, for Europe is that, you know, from a manufacturing-based standpoint, there's no way that people in Europe or anywhere in the developed world really can compete with low-cost places like China and Asia, for instance. So, I mean, do you foresee a situation where real wages have to fall significantly for Europe to become competitive again?
You've got a situation in Europe where countries locked into the Eurozone, a common currency, can only become more competitive through processes of internal devaluation, that is to say, getting wage costs down. And here we've seen that the European Commission, the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund have been telling countries where they think that unit labour costs have got above what the market will take, Greece, Spain, Portugal, they've got to get their labour costs down. And we're seeing some very harsh regimes of austerity which have involved stagnation, cuts in wages, cuts in pension entitlements. And this has had a very, very shock effect, I would say, on these economies.
When they talk about, though, the level of wages, if it's actually at a level which can sustain new investment, I mean, how overvalued are people saying that wages in Europe actually are?
Well, I think there's been quite a lot of discussion about that, and there's a lot of people who say that they're not overvalued in some of these countries. The minimum wage, I mean, to take some examples for you, I can only say it in euros. The minimum wage in Greece is around the 500 mark. In Portugal and Spain, you're talking about 500-600 euros
a month.
A month. Very difficult to survive on that money. There is a lot of discussion about how much further minimum wages should go, and how collective bargaining systems need to be reformed. I think there are those in Europe still in the Troika, this Commission bank, IMF trio that think that those costs have to come down even further. Others are pointing to the fact that, in fact, economies like Spain and Portugal have probably got where they need to be on unit labour costs. There's just no money in the economy, there's no demand in the economy.
Go Ryder, thank you very much.
Thank you.